Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I'm your host Major Sunil Shetty. Building efficient sales team is a challenge for most companies. It could be for various reasons. To understand what are the challenges and how to overcome, I have three eminent guests joining me this evening who specialize in sales, sales distribution and training. My first guest is Mr. Dinkar Suri,
Hello.
a sales development veteran with over 37 years of experience in sales management and execution. He has held several CEO and sales director positions in his corporate career, both in India and GCC. My second guest is Mr. Sunil Haribal, who is a sales training expert with over 22 years experience as a sales professional with P&G in India. And my third guest is Manish Lomba, who is a sales distribution expert. Manish is an enterprising leader with a solid track record in FMCG industry spanning over 25 years. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Back again for me.
Yeah. Mr. Suri, let's start by understanding. We already met in our last show. Tell us about, what is the GASP Sales Academy all about? What is the objective? What is the initiative all about?
Well, first of all, a very warm good evening to all the viewers looking at My Startup TV. It's wonderful to be back with a very gracious host, Major Sunil. GASP Sales Academy has the mission to build sales productivity across businesses, across sectors, using a very scientific process called GASP, Generally Accepted Sales Principles. This is an IP that I have developed, a sales toolkit to deliver efficiency and productivity at the front end of any sales operation, be it B2B or B2C. This has been very successfully implemented across industries for the past decade. And now we are launching this in a GASP Sales Academy form, where not only we will implement and train people on GASP, but we will also go beyond that into implementing GASP through a build, operate, transfer model in ventures, help them with performance management and development and sales training and sales operations, for which I've got two wonderful mentors whom have just been introduced by the Major. Haribal, who's a master sales trainer and coach, having spent many years with Procter & Gamble and now for more than over 2 decades as a sales trainer and coach. His specialty is he has a very simple way of bringing in Bollywood themes and songs to train the people, which makes it very memorable and very fun. The second aspect is he has, as they said, pivoted during the pandemic, and now he's one of the best sales trainers on Zoom, training people long distance and offline. So welcome, Sunil, on this platform. It's great to have you here and in the academy. And Manish Lomba is an expert on sales operations. He has been a member of many FMCG companies, and his focus while being on strategy is very clearly to bring the strategy to the ground level and make sure that the sales teams and the sales partners really work. So his specialty is developing sales partnerships. And that is where he's going to be perhaps taking us through his thoughts. And even in the GASP Sales Academy, he's going to be doing that. So in short, the GASP Sales Academy is a one-stop shop for improving and building sales productivity across all organizations, across all ventures.
That's a great team you have there, Dinkar. So now coming to Sunil, you have a lot of experience, and Dinkar just made a mention that you use Bollywood songs to train, which is Bollywood in itself, is a great tool to use, when you have to draw people towards you. So tell us, given your experience, what kind of impact sales productivity have? How do you impact, sales productivity?
See, sales productivity can be impacted by 2-3 important things. One is, understanding what is the way of working, what needs to be done, and then giving simple processes to the sales team. Something that they understand, easy to understand and easy to apply. If they internalize it, their productivity definitely goes up. I have clients which have been retaining me for the last 5 years, 6 years. Obviously, we have sales training has impacted their business. Okay, because people come and go. They need to have standardized processes. I think if you have a standardized process, but effective, simple processes, productivity will definitely go up. Assuming that the people who have got are nice, good people, you have a good product. If that happens and you have a great process, the sales productivity will keep going up.
Give us an example of how do you use Bollywood songs to achieve your goal, because that's kind of interesting.
Okay, see what happens is when I watch Bollywood, so I don't know the script writers in Bollywood whether they are trained salespeople or not, but there are a lot. I keep looking for situations which are very conducive to, for example, one of the success to get a successful closure is to get the customer say a lot of yeses. You don't start with something where the customer starts saying no, right? So when I watched this film, I suddenly realized, oh, this is a great song. Where you ask a lot of simpler questions, easier for the customer to say yes. And the moment he gets into a habit of saying yes, 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 then when you actually do the small proposal, he doesn't say no. We make it easy for him to propose. And the song in my mind is for that is, you all will know, is that Bhago mein bahar hai. It's a very easy question. The salespeople will start immediately saying, "Mujhko tumse pyar hai," and the customer will say, "Na na 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 na."
And at the end, you get the result you want, right?
Yeah. So you ask, "Aaj somar hai, jeena dushwar hai." You ask in such a way. So I call it the Bhago mein bahar hai strategy.
Interesting.
There's one more song of Satya pe Satta. Jhuka ke sar ko pucho, madam, how do you do? If you, I'm sure you must have heard, or your audience must have heard.
Yes, of course.
And there is a lot of selling skills in that. Like they say, इस time अभी मत पूछो कि I love you बोलो, यहाँ बोलो I love you, I like you मत बोलो यहाँ. So you have to say the right thing at the right time. So selling is all about saying the right thing, right time. So a lot of songs, a lot of scenarios. So when I watch a movie or I keep looking, इसमें कुछ है क्या अपना? Is there anything which is useful for us? And it becomes, so when you use these things, people understand it very easily.
Yeah, very true. Dinkar keeps making this point. Rather he hammers in this point where he says sales is not an art; it is a science. So I think what you're talking about kind of fits into that. That you take this situation and build on it, where you can bring your client to agree to you. I think that's what hardcore sales comes down to.
Yeah. So there are lot of such things, principles, which are useful, and they can be applied in any situation, any industry, any company.
So coming to you, Manish, your experience in sales and operations and building sales network is considerable. Is there a secret formula, for building a successful sales partnership?
Okay. Before I go on to answer that question, I would like to first tell you what is and ask you what is a basic need, why we need to have a successful partnership. That is first and foremost important. Now coming on to that, it is very crucial to keep in mind that partnership relationship is not an event or an activity. It is an ongoing process. That is foremost one has to keep in mind. Second most important thing, why it needs to be not to be treated as an event or an activity. The organizations who treat it as an event or an activity are likely to come across or face a lot of issues. And those issues will be quite detrimental for their mutual beneficial relationship. And thus it needs to be nurtured and evolved and built through a process. Now that process is something what we'll be talking about in our academy and making the people understand what is the right process which needs to be built up for successful partnership for long-term sustainability of both the parties.
You ask the right questions, then it is the partnership. And then there it is not treating it as an activity, rather as a long-term association.
It has to be engagement, and it has to be done through a process, because everything, if you look into, if somebody treat as an activity, okay, dealer appoint karna hai, karaye, that's okay, done. But that is not the buck stops. Buck starts from the very, very word, which is selection of a right party to be put it in. How do we inculcate or induct that individual distributor or a party or a partnership partner into that? That is how it is. So it's an ongoing process.
So coming back to you, Sunil, tell me what are the main blocks? What are the main blocks that that persons come across? Why I ask this question is sales. One thing that we see is when we are hiring people, it's very difficult to find people who are willing to take up sales. People are more inclined towards getting into admin job, logistics, but not sales.
See, it is very simple. Sales is a job which people take up only if they don't get anything. No, when I grew up in school, I never thought I would be in fact, I was imagining I would be a bank clerk, because in those days, bank clerks would, have a lot of holidays and public holidays, overtime, etc. So my, horizon was that, as I was growing up in school, and I should be in a bank, I don't think there is anybody. I remember having gone to NITI. So I did a sales management course for NITI for 3 years. When I asked, the first question is, how many of you want to take up sales? Nobody wants to. People want to take up marketing. People want to take strategy. This is hardcore hard work. In sales, there is no substitute to hard work. A lot of follow-ups, a lot of rejections. Not many people want to take up that. So sales is not a glamorous career. People don't take up sales simply because, but reality is 90% of the graduates who come out, or 90% of the business graduates who come out thinking of marketing strategy, they actually end up in sales. And in life, we are all selling actually. They think that selling is tough, but everybody is selling.
So Sunil, maybe, when you started, those days, we know that India did not have or the common man did not have the purchase power. We can say, today we see it's changed. So probably those days it was, as a salesperson, it was difficult, but today it may not be the case. Would you agree with that? Given, the way millennials are spending.
Yes, it's true. See, as you have said, there is because of competition, because of a lot of money, it's like a situation where, there are a lot of jobs available also. Like say, if you take a city like Bombay or, bigger cities, there are a lot of companies which want good people. And there are a lot of people who want jobs, but they keep shifting from one company to another. If there is some, some kind of firing by the boss, they leave, then they go for the next job. They say they don't change the companies, but they change their bosses. So they keep, there is also a problem with the salespeople, because they keep changing companies. Because there are a lot of options available. Also today, there are options like, call centers and stuff like that. So getting real good salespeople is also a challenge for companies.
Dinkar, let me come to you, because, Sales Academy is about, as I understand, it's going to be first academy of its kind in India, teaching exclusively sales. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So would that be a part of your curriculum where you motivate people to take up sales? And the second is, how do they keep doing this? They don't take up this as a last option, rather they take it as a first option.
Well, I think the first objective, the mission that we have is to first install a standardized sales standard across companies for sales processes. The reason why people get attracted to accounts or manufacturing, because they see some sense of order there. Generally in the world out here, sales seems to be very, very artistic and led by whims and fancies. Whereas actually that is not the case for successful sales leaders. So we are going to be bringing out this in the open through our generally accepted sales principles. That is number one. We would then propagate that in companies. Now, there are large enterprise companies and there are small companies. As you well know, Vijay Sir, and you're a startup, the engine of India's economy is in the SME and MSME sector, representing 70% of India's economic power. There are small businesses, there are many businesses, but with small kind of turnovers. These have to succeed. And I constantly deal with this with entrepreneurs and MSMEs throughout the past decade, where I've researched. And the single reason why they don't succeed is because they don't get the product out to the customer in the way that it should be got out. They have great products, but they don't able to get it out because either the founder is not involved in sales or he can't get good salespeople. So it's a cycle. Okay, so we are making a small attempt by getting GASP Sales Academy, which apart from focusing on training through the efforts of Mr. Sunil Haribal, who's with us, we'll also look at the processes before the salesperson goes to the customer to meet and the processes after that. So the complete holistic picture. Okay. And let me just add here, while in the studio, wearing this suit and talking a bit of strategy, you just heard two examples of how it's going to be executed at the ground level. Sunil talking about using Bollywood as an inspiration for training. So that is something very innovative. It's not coming from outside. It's a very Bharat-oriented, very India-centric training approach. And Manish talking very much about the sales partnership and what has to be done. So we are as an academy rooted on the ground. Yes, we definitely plan a lot, because if you have to execute well, you have to plan a lot. But we are looking at very simply improving the sales productivity so that salespeople can be successful, and hence more people can be drawn to take up the job. Because let me tell you one thing, all the people working in the world, salespeople get demotivated very fast if they get a no for answer, if they have any objections. So we are going to mitigate that thing. So we have a large task to do. And I'm happy to come and talk about this on your forum, because we want more and more people to think of this very seriously, take the academy route and the processes so they do not have to falter.
Dinkar, I want to bring another point here.
Yeah.
You talked about the MSMEs and the SMEs. Now the pay disparity is huge when you have to hire a salesperson. Think of a startup; they cannot pay as much as maybe a medium-sized companies would do. How do you how do you bring these people together? Because as a startup, as a micro business or a small business, if you have to go for great talent, you need to pay more. Whereas your budgets may not permit you. Why I ask this question is because you're an academy. You're not teaching them just sales. You're teaching them probably much more beyond the sales, because it's the sales people who, as you said, they get demotivated, but they are also the people, if they perform well, they are the one who climb the ladder very fast and very high. So how would you bridge that gap where they understand that they need not, when they take up a job with a company, they should not see as to what the paycheck is. Rather, they should see what scope it offers. Am I right there?
So I think there is a responsibility on the company first and foremost, which is hiring them, to set the processes in place to hire the right person. And let me tell you, as Sunil will always say, people always do not buy because of price. Price is one of the factors. So people join companies not only for salaries, for a lot of other things. And this is where the founder, the owner of the MSME has to sell the company. But for that, he needs to have a credible dream backed up by processes. So when the employee, who's basically like a customer, walks into the office and he or she is performing, the moment of truth is when he or she sees exactly what has been told and they can perform. You need to get them to earn money. So you need to get them to meet their target, meet their objective, and get the money. And if you do it properly in the process, it's very simple. The sales revenue comes in from the customer. Commoditization of the product is the worst disease in India today. So you need to have a good value proposition, get the price you want, get it from the customer, and make the customer effectively pay for the entire back end, starting with the manufacturing. Not pay to do it. There is going to be a loss in the system initially, but you got to build it up. And how do you do that? That is what we're planning. So this gas we emphasize a lot on the responsibility of the brand owner, whether it's a sales partner or a sales team management, in making the environment very good for working, having the right policies. There is also involvement of the sales team members. But at the end of the day, they are looking up to you. So I think the onus is more on the brand owner to make it work. And this is where founders have to work really hard. And it's not difficult. It's not somebody coming saying, today I will do this, tomorrow I will do this. No, there's a process. There's a performance management process. There's a performance development program. And you got to go through all that. You cannot say, no, I'm a small person, I can't apply all this. You got to go through it. There is no, you don't have a chance. You've taken the journey into entrepreneurship willy-nilly of your own accord. You ought to take it as it comes and make it happen. And it is possible.
So what you're saying, Dinkar, is that irrespective of the size of the company, let there be a process. And that's what
process.
Gas.
I'll give another, in large corporations where, which are multi-million-dollar corporations, There could be inefficiencies like anywhere, because in any sales team it's an 80-20 rule. So 20% of the sales team really perform above average, 30% are just average, and the tail is where the issue is. But because of the momentum set in over the past years, things go on, because every large company was a startup 50 years back. Infosys was a startup 50 years back, right? So you have to go through the process and make it happen. And then the challenge in large companies is, how do you chip away at inefficiencies using GASP so that you can make the same money run higher? That's our next objective. So today we're targeting the first level of MSMEs to make this reality.
Coming to you, Sunil, what are the challenges or key challenges that salespeople face today? And using GASP, training tools, can that be overcome?
Okay, one of the biggest thing for salespeople today, among the challenges they face, is when they join a company, accepting from really good companies who care, there is no proper induction. They are just put onto a boss who is like a tiger, willing to eat a hungry tiger, willing to eat a bakra, and he just pushes them into the field. Jao dhanda leke aao.
Isn't it that because there is this pressure from companies for target, meeting the target, and personal experience is when you don't set a target, the sales team doesn't perform. So it's like a vicious cycle. You don't set a target, they don't perform. If you give them a target, they say the boss is like a hungry wolf.
Yeah, so it's two-way things. While the targets have to be there, then they should also be trained on how to do the target, not just the target. You can give me a target, but if you don't know how to achieve it, how will I achieve? So the companies have to see, in all sales companies, pressure has to be there, but there has to be a thin line between pressure and what happens is, if you put pressure without telling them how to do it. See, why this happens also is another challenge, is that the who has joined, he grows up into a manager. Companies promote a guy who has learned from his own ways of learning, and he becomes a manager, and he will teach the guy the way he has learned. And the way he has learned is jao leke aao. Kuch bhi karo, lekin dhanda leko.
So what you're saying here is, as Dinkar has been making, saying this, that there has to be a process, which the manager learns, or somebody who starts very early in a new company learns it, and by the time he comes to a point of responsibility, he knows what the process is, and then he can train his team. Right. And that's where GASP Academy comes into play, isn't it?
So how to induct a person? See, if a person joins in a company, he should be first taught what are the right things. If he learns the first things first time right, then he goes and teaches his people right. That is how the organization will grow.
So it's beyond teaching them just about the product details or pricing. It's beyond that. Is that what it is?
Yes. How do you sell? How do you approach a customer? What do you do? How do you stand up to him? How do you identify him? How do you talk to him? These are all sciences which have to be taught. And then he will, like Dinkar said, he will get better results. Otherwise, what will happen in 3-6 months, he'll get frustrated. And he'll look for another job. And today, it is not difficult to get another job. So he just leaves that.
Dinkar, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to add, my experience with founders. You see, if you are a founder, you have to give a target that I want to get to so-and-so level. I want, let's say, 100 crore sales, or 1,000 crores, 2,000, whatever it is. That's your job. You won't say make it less. You'll say make it more. At the same breath, if you're talking to a salesperson and giving them a sales target, ask them what is the process your team is going to follow to achieve that. In the next breath, ask that question. Normally, this is never asked. We just say we want that dhanda, and they go and chase the result, and the process is not known. Ask the question, what is the process? Take time out to understand the process, guide them, be a coach and a mentor, and guide them to achieve the target, get their incentives, and make them happy. As opposed to giving a target to a production manager in a factory saying, I want to increase production from 100 units to 200 units. You just give a target to them, and they will come back and tell you, sir, this is how we want to do it. More people I need, more raw material I need. Why did I do that? And why the sales guy doesn't do it? Because in the manufacturing setup, it's ingrained in them. That's how we want to talk. Even if you don't ask, they come and tell you. The sales people don't do it. So if you're a founder running an MSME, this is what I call an occupational hazard. Better you know about it. As far as we are concerned in the academy, We teach you how to mitigate the risk, and then you implement it, and then we're there to guide you.
Said how important it is for the founders to be good salesperson.
It is a big bonus, but given the number of units that are coming up, it is, I think my guess is not more than 10 to 20% could be some sales guys. However, it's a mixed blessing. If as Sunil has said, if this salesperson has come out of a company without knowing the processes, then actually it's a disaster, because you got to retrain the person, and he's a founder. He's going to say that I know everything, and he's going to derail it. This is what happened in a lot of units. On the other hand, a techie or a finance person just do a bit of processes in their old field, technology or finance, is probably more amenable, and we can teach him or her the selling skill, which is what Sunil is going to be doing, because again, it's a process. So it's trainable. So we can definitely do that and make them up, because they're going to sell all the time. The founder has to sell, customers, employees, stakeholders, everywhere. So the founder shies away. Many times I get my entrepreneur saying, sir, I know I am the techie, I want a business person. I say, you are the business person. There's nobody else. You are the business person. You have to run it. You have to understand it. I think Manish had a point to make.
Yeah.
Now, though it is very encouraging for the entrepreneurs to go for a very skyrocketing or very ambitious targets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, target setting itself is a very scientific and it is a process, a scientific as well as a process. Now, there is something called SMART. The targets has to set on the SMART principle, which is SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, time bound, and realistic. Now, it is normally what happens is, yes, as you said some time back, the salespeople say that target is very, very high, whereas the employer or the entrepreneur will say, no, it is achievable. The question is, how do you bridge the gap between what from an entrepreneur point of view and from the ground status point of view, or the people who are actually going to achieve those targets? Now, coming to that, it is very, very important how we define those targets through that process. And then there has to be buying in from the people, from the salespeople. And then once there is a buying in on those targets from the salespeople, then the effort and energy what we'll put in will actually be more synergized in action.
Gives me a lot of hope, because now you all are putting sales as a science and not as an art, because what we used to hear was it's an art. Some people are good at it, some are not good at it. Basically what you're saying is anybody can be trained on this because there are processes for it, which is really good and really reassuring. Manish, tell us, what are different kinds of sales partnership that are possible between companies?
See, it depends upon what is the kind of the program we have and what are the objectives the organizations are setting it for, what is the vision, what they have in 5 years, 10 years down the line. Broadly, there are processes like COCO, what is called company owned, company operated. In this case, what happens is the entrepreneur or the company invests everything into the business and it's operated by the organization itself. So in managed and invested both by the organization, that is basically company owned and company operated. Now that in this case, say for example, you have a lot of automobile businesses which are there, jewelry shops which are there, and if you see, there are a lot of fashion brands which are available. So those could be some of them. The another one is which is company operated, dealer, company owned and dealer operated, wherein company owned invest into the businesses, dealer operated or managed as per directions of the organization. So those are that's the second one. Third one is normally which is dealer owned and dealer operated, where a dealer invests everything into the business and he only operates that. So depending upon what kind of a businesses they are into, what kind of product category, what is their competition, what is their vision in going forward, all these blend of partnerships can be utilized.
And how much responsibility does the company have in making that the sales partnerships work?
Okay. See, though organization and channel partner both has to manage the business together. Now, wherever partnership is like a marriage. Though both have partner has to ensure that it has to be keep going in. But the biggest question one has to ask is, who is as a larger stake? Whose investment, not in terms of monetary firm, but in terms of the brand, product and services is at a larger stake? Definitely it is organization. So whenever there's a partnership which fails, this organization who is going to have the major bunt out of it. So hence it is more of a responsibility of an organization to see that this partnership is going on and going along in a right direction towards mutually beneficial relationship.
And what has been the learning, sales learnings about sales partnership that you would like to share with us?
Building and supporting a partnership ecosystem is a big opportunity. When it's a big opportunity, which means as the partnership evolves, there is a change in expectations. As it is building up, the expectation keep changing. Like as I said, it is a marriage. And like in marriage, initial stage of the marriage, mid age of the marriage, later age of the marriage, the expectation from both the partners keep changing. Similarly, in this case also, it has so hence it has to be evolved over a period of time with the through processes. I'll give you one example. Like everybody or most of the people are well aware of arithmetic, like what is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and other things. But if in an equation, there all the signs are there: addition, multiplication, subtraction, addition. Now, if somebody does not follow a principle of board mass, the result is not bound to come. So what happens is similarly in the sales line also, whenever these processes, although everybody know kya kya karna hai, but kis stage pe kya karna hai and what needs to be done at what stage is like a board mass. So here in our academy, we'll be talking about how to use these principles rightly at right stage. Knowing it is one aspect of it. Knowing it at a right stage is a critical aspect.
So, Dinkar, or you or Manish, both of you can answer this. Is it necessary that both the partners should go through the program that you run, where both are on the same page when it comes to their responsibilities and what they need to, how they need to perform, and
Manish,
what processes
you take the question.
how they need to, work on this?
Yes, it will be very beneficial if both the partners take that this course. In that case, it will become 1 plus 1 becomes 3. It is going to be a synergetic effect because both will understand their roles and responsibility much better, and hence they will be able to evolve themselves for a mutually beneficial and sustainable relationship in going forward.
And I just want to add one more element here in terms of sales partnerships. We actually have started, our registration for this flagship course called Building Efficient Sales Organizing with GASP, and we have a large cohort base coming from a sales partner themselves. So a sales partner is taking part in our cohort, and while the sales partnership we talk about so far were about the company getting into partnership with somebody to extend the reach. Here is somebody representing a company already, like we just mentioned. So we have an additional icing on the cake for that in the academy, which perhaps is not available anywhere else. And that stems from my large experience in GCC of having headed sales partnership, because that is the model in GCC. And how do you actually work on a sales partnership beyond what we talk about to make the principal, the vendor who's supplying the product, make him a part and parcel of the journey? That is some extra element that we are going to put into the sales partnership element that Manish will be doing to increase the scope and benefit of what we do. So I just wanted to...
Businesses, the organization or the manufacturer or whoever is the owner of the business, he should not treat the partner as an outside party. It should be like an extended arm. Because he's not able to reach there, he's got these people. So when a customer looks at, let's say, a jewelry showroom, even if it is run by a dealer or anybody, he will not think it is run by the dealer. He will say it is the company. So the company has a role, and the biggest interest is of the company. That partner, he doesn't treat it like as a partner. He's like our own person, my own extended arm. So if there is a training to be done, both have to be trained.
Absolutely.
And both need to know. One knowing, the other not knowing will not help.
And just add there, Sunil, as to how does one sustain learning of any kind of sales training on sales program? How do you sustain that?
So we ensure that the training doesn't see. Normally people believe that training is a classroom session and people come for 2-day holiday in a 5-star hotel or wherever, off the market, enjoy good meals and go back. So those days have gone. So the training now includes, some amount of pre-work for their specific problem. All the training should be business focused. Training should be done only if there is a business need. So once you do that, there has to be some application of that. So normally what we do is we not only do the processes, we also demonstrate. We ask them to do, we go and accompany them when they are doing their calls. and we give some assignments. So this, what is being learned is translated into a skill. It should not be like a rubber band that it comes back to, its original style after the 2, because retention in a classroom or a program is just for 3 days, 4 days, depending on the trainer. After that, people, if they go back to their old styles, nobody knows, because salespeople are all working in isolation, far off. So there has to be some assessment, certification, motivation to achieve that. And onus is also on the people to treat it as learning. So they should get some business gains if they do it. That's when they will apply it, because they have found some use to them.
And Sunil, you see the last, pretty much the whole decade, we're seeing there's a huge push towards online sales. Does your training program cater to sales which is online as well, or people who are involved in online sales?
So online is a different type of, it's more of a, so what we are talking is face-to-face selling. In online, there is no face-to-face selling. There's more of a marketing mix, and how do you understand the consumer and how do you present it. So see, there is a thin line between sales and marketing. Many people mix up sales. So online selling is more of, increasing the reach to the consumer through a different way. People don't do it. It is done digitally. And so there is a digital expertise required. And of course, thinking consumer, how do they think consumer? Where do the consumer, what do they watch? How do they appeal to them? What pricing? It's a kind of marketing effort there, not just selling effort.
So I just add there, there is this whole aspect of inside sales. So inside sales is any sale done remotely. Okay. That is basically, today the pandemic has ensured that even the sales officers have become inside sales people because they're sitting at home and selling. Okay. That is pioneered by this company called Salesforce.com when they started 20 years back. This has grown to a major industry. And in the sales training modules that we will be presenting, we will have a separate sales training module for the delivery of this, which is inside sales. But the principles, the other processes remain the same of customer acquisition, the story, the pitch, all that remains the same. What has just changed is getting onto the face-to-face versus remote sale. Let's be very clear. Technology is an enabler. The science of selling has remained unchanged since the first sale was made, maybe by Adam and Eve at that time. It did not change. So we will do it. So it's a science, but not a rocket science. That's all I'll say.
It's a different science.
Yeah.
To sell, yeah. Online selling can be, just like Amazon does, or it can be somebody calling online. So there are different ways. Even see, now ways of selling have increased tremendously. You can reach out to consumer in any form you can reach. There is a combo of that. See, what happens is I, by mistake, yesterday went into cars24.com. Okay. Because I was looking to, sell my old car. And within an hour, I got a call from the salesperson. So that was online, but also a physical person who called. Okay, sir, aapne, even now people like this Farm Easy and all who are supposed to be online, they keep calling, sir, aapka time order nahi aaya. What time say? So selling is now can be a combo. It is all hybrid. About getting.
It's a hybrid model.
Hybrid model.
See, I would like to just say, e-commerce is basically a channel, right? And a channel of reaching to a consumer or a customer at a pace. Now, what happens is, but the other part of the sales fundamental still remains the same. So whether we do a B2B sales, whether we do the B2C sales, whether we do e-commerce sale, the fundamental sales principle will continue. Only thing is what we change here in our academy is the adaptability of those principles to different channels. To be more specific, I'll put it that.
In fact, what we say is that whether it is B2C or D2C, direct to consumer, B2B or services, GASP remains the same. The flavor may change, and then a particular company may add their own icing on the top. But broadly, 27 processes, that takes care of the entire sales management and the science of selling.
It's something like that. Whether we drive BMW, whether we drive Mercedes, whether automated or non-automated, but rules of driving will still remain the same.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a good example. That's a very good way of putting it. Dinkar, last time you made a mention how GASP, the origin of GASP, how GASP came about. how you borrowed the idea from accounting. Do you want to talk about about the course that you're offering?
Absolutely. So, viewers, we've been discussing for the past, I think, 45 minutes about various aspects. And I've got these two wonderful mentors. And, we can see that what we're talking about is really basic dhande ki baat, practical sense. Okay. We're talking of how you can connect with the customer, how you can make yourself more productive. This science is very old. It is not invented by me. It is just put together in a package called GASP, Generally Accepted Sales Principle, Sales Toolkit. This is what we are going to be delivering. Now, the best way to deliver that is through our flagship course, which we call Building Efficient Sales Organizations with GASP. GASP has got 4 buckets: customer management, sales partner management, sales team management, and sales operation management. Now, in the past 45 minutes, you got a jhalak, a glimpse of what is there. It's very exciting and it's very process-led. And I wish, I had got this science delivered to me when I was like 25 years old in my first sales job. So we are giving on a platter today. The course is going to start from 13th September. It's for 5 days, 2 hours every day, in which Mr. Sunil is going to take a fantastic sales negotiation skill training course for all the cohorts in his own inimitable way. You've seen his style. It's something different to what you find elsewhere. And the rest of the hours is going to be spent by myself and Manish talking about the processes. So there are 27 processes. That's all you need to know. But are you going to be fully equipped to go to the war? Perhaps not. We're going to be giving you the knowledge. Then we're going to be sitting with you for an hour after the course. We will ask you to apply these processes at the end of every module to your own business. There is a 1 day gap between each of the 4 modules. So you get time to think about it. And we want you to apply and ask us, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Then at the end of this course, in the 1 hour mentoring, we are going to pick the low hanging fruit and help you to run a pilot in your business and then come back to us with results, because an academy is a place of higher learning where you go and get back. So you don't leave the academy. You're an alumni of the academy for lifetime. And you will continue to search the knowledge about productivity. You be a student and we will guide you on that. So we will guide you throughout your journey for the rest of the life whenever doing entrepreneurship with this. This course is costing just 4,000 rupees. And I will request Suraj now to put up the link on the chat box for people to click and book your seat. If you got any questions out there, my mobile number is also being flashed on the screen. Please connect with me. Seats are filling up very, very fast. We're going to be closing the bookings in another 3 days' time because we don't want a huge batch of 100. We're looking at about 30 people to come in to give a very focused training with these quality mentors, and we are committed to mentoring and training. Yes, we definitely are getting a money for it. It's nothing compared to the time we're going to be spending. And by the way, we are talking of a 2 hour session. The session could extend more. Depends on the opposite side, how much you extract from us. We are ready to give. We are an ocean of knowledge. We are mentors. We are not just anybody else. And this is a mission. GASP Sales Academy, building sales productivity is a mission. Major was in the army. We are at a war. The war of the consumer's mind. The war for winning the moment of truth. We need to equip you with all the tools. And then as you implement this in your businesses, you will get more and more proficient. Just as a soldier goes to the field and fights a war and gets better and better at it. So you implement it, it's an iterative process. If you don't implement it, it's going to sit with you. You got to be implementing it and learning and coming back to us. That is the beauty of GASP Sales Academy, the only academy which is building sales productivity the way we are talking. There are so many interesting things we're going to talk in the class. So please click and join now. Don't waste. It's going to be worth your while.
Thank you, Dinkar. Thank you, Sunil and Manish. I'm sure viewers would have benefited from your collective experience of over 100 years. If you add all of that, which comes from sales training, partnerships, and I'm sure startups out there, young founders out there would like to take a look at what the course that you offer. More interestingly, from my standpoint, you've been talking about sales as a science and not as an art. That gives me a lot of confidence that our sales teams can perform, going through this course. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.